Your dreams and your desires are your life purpose. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Healing into Femininity. It's me, Joanna. I'm your host, and let's dive right in. So, your dreams and your desires are your life purpose. So, what do I mean by that? And I said it in another video, but yeah, of course, I don't expect anyone, or maybe yes. I think I'm expecting you to watch all the videos so we can become best friends. Okay. So, but I want to start like fresh. So if you're new, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the notification so you can get content every day because I'm making content every day. So, what do I mean by that? So I made an example, and that's how I see it. So all of us, all people, all women, especially, we come onto this planet. This is what I believe in. I believe in that we are souls that incarnate into our body because we want to make a certain human experience. I do believe that we actually kind of choose our parents, we choose how we want to look. Yeah, so imagine that. Like, I chose how I'm going to look and what kind of life experience I'm going to have through choosing the parents that I had. And I think that's such um, a wonderful imagination, a wonderful thought that I chose to embody this body. And I believe that you also chose to embody your body. And this is just like the canvas or just the raw material. But now it is up to you to take care and maintain that body and to make the best out of what you've got. So all of the things that you came here with, like with your body, with your genes, but also like your life experiences, and then your desires to express yourself, your interests, and everything that comes from within, right? We're on this channel, we're speaking about really the inner work, the internal work, your body, your mind, your desires, your dream, how to fulfill your potential and live your best life. And I 100% believe that living your best life means to fulfill your potential. That's it. Because we're so rich. And I believe, especially women, that we have such a rich inner life. And we are literally like a flower. We are the seed. Yeah. And then you plant the seed, you take care of the seed, and the seed will bloom into a flower. It will unfold into a flower, or not only a flower, you can also be a forest, you can be a jungle if you want, but this whole analogy of having the potential, the seed, and then becoming all you came here to be. So with that being said, I believe that like the soul incarnates into the body, and our soul has a lot of information. Like, our soul has a blueprint. This is the seed, like the information in a seed. Have you ever wondered how really magical it is to have like a seed, a small seed with all the information of becoming a tree? That is magical, and the same magic applies to us. So our soul incarnates into our body, and the soul has its blueprint, right? And somehow the evolutionary challenge is to crack open the genetics, because we are all inheriting the genetics of our ancestors, our forefathers, our mother, our father, and this most of the time is limited, right? Like, they have been programmed by the world, and the world is or has been that, like, we have nature and then we have the world, right? And the world is a program. The world is stories and myth, consciousness, like understanding of what this world is, how we move in this world. And human beings are constantly evolving in consciousness, not so much in genetics, literally, but our understanding of who we are, of nature. This is also where science comes in. Like, we want to explore the the nature of reality, right? So we are as human beings, we're evolving, and our ancestors have maybe been limited. So the beliefs your mother had, the beliefs your father had about this life, this is how they indoctrinate you subconsciously, but also on a cellular level. So you have your body, and then you have your soul incarnating into the body, and your soul wants to expand. Your soul wants to expand and grow into infinity, if we want to call it that. We want to grow and fulfill our blueprint. That's what I believe in 100%. So we want to fulfill the blueprint, and then we come and we bump up against barriers, and those barriers are inside of us, inside of our own program, because again, the genes have been programmed that we like that we inherited by our forefathers, but also our mind has been programmed since we came to this world on a subconscious level. Our cells have been programmed, our mind has been programmed by the stories we've heard, the stories we were surrounded by, the stories of our fathers and mothers and their maybe lineage and culture and racism and sexism and patriarchy and capitalism and the have-nots and the haves and the socioeconomic status, and you are a girl and this is a boy, and like all of that is a story, right? And we kind of like we're getting shaped and molded by these stories. And until we come to a point where it's called like the spiritual awakening, right? Or some level of, I believe most people come to a level of spiritual awakening when the pain is so bad, when the soul is literally suffering because the soul knows your truth, and your soul knows the truth, and your human program created a completely different life than your soul intended to come here to experience. This is when we have those wake up calls, wake up moments. Many times it's something more severe. Many times it's a disease, it's a sickness, it's a breakup, it's like, yeah, very maybe relationship pain, it's a financial crisis. All of these things lead us to question ourselves, our lives, and this can lead us into the rabbit hole. So I hope a lot of you who are watching, you are also in your own rabbit hole, or you have been in a rabbit hole. And which what does that mean? We are going on this hero's journey, because that's what it is. Like we are like, okay, we're waking up and we're like, okay, what is actually going on in my life? Like, why are things the way they are? And then you become more and more inquisitive, and then you follow the breadcrumbs, right? You follow the yellow brick road, you follow the rabbit hole, and you gain information, you gather information, and you start to see the world and yourself and your parents and the nature of this reality. You learn more and more and more, and that's kind of like the hero journey at the beginning. Then maybe you find a teacher, you find someone who you learn with that can teach you a lot, which is the mentor, which is the teacher, the coach in today's world, or somebody who can really take you into the depth of reality, or their truth, what they learn and what they know and their wisdom. And then you kind of like you continue to go through the forest, and then you fight your own demons, right? You slay your own dragon, and the dragon is the last vestige, or I don't know if that's the right word, like it's the last enemy, the last challenge before you get to the treasure. And the treasure is literally the truth, and the truth is inside of you, and the truth is that you are full of potential, you are full of value, you're full of worth, you're full of potential, your idea, your unique life experience, your gifts, your talents, your energy, your uniqueness. All of that is a gift to the world, literally. This is what you discover, and then you come into the world, or you come back to society where the whole story began, but you come back as a changed person, right? That's the archetypal hero's journey, or the heroine's journey, whatever we want to call it. So you get initiated, and then you become a different member of society, going through this initiation with all that knowledge of self, with all those gifts, and now you become a servant leader. You become a servant, and that's how I see myself, to serve my tribe, to serve humanity, to serve women, to serve the women who can relate with me and to me and my story and what I say and whatever, and to serve those people with your talents, your gift, your story, whatever. And this is the hero's journey. Yeah. And I hope, like, maybe you're at the beginning, you're wherever you are, you're welcome. So, this is what happens here on this planet. And then you learn more and more about reality, as I said. But coming back to this waking up, this is like, I mean, that's nothing new. We've heard that many times, but what does it mean? Waking up to the truth of who you are. Because until we wake up and we create those realities that we think that we have to create, like going to school, maybe following our parents' dreams, following society's dreams. And what is that? Following society's dreams literally means following a beauty standard, because this is something that we're constantly being indoctrinated by, following a beauty standard, having to find a man, like, as women. This is a decentering man channel. Yes, I'm saying it again and again, because it's my, like, I think it's my newest found term of the lifestyle that I live, that literally makes me happy. You don't have to decenter men. You can do whatever you want, but that's just me. And I'm going to also always back it up with my experience and why I choose the things that I choose. And again, you can do whatever you want. I'm not here to indoctrinate you again, but I just want to give you some food for thought, share myself, share my perspective, and connect, right? That's what I want. And of course, if you want to learn more, if you really want to dive in, of course, I'm a life coach, I'm a mentor, and I can take you through a transformational program that helps you to really unlock your own potential. So, what I want to say is that here, like, we demystify all those things that kind of keep us limited and keep us from our full aliveness. I believe that the way I am, this is me being in my natural state, me being uninhibited. Like, I am free. Like, I'm free, no makeup, I don't care, especially with this male centeredness not going on over here. Like, women to women, we don't have to impress each other. I mean, the next time maybe I'm going to get dressed again, but I went to the gym, and I feel like I just want to record this. So you come into this world, you have all that gifts, all these talents, and I literally believe that your purpose, if you follow your calling. And what is the calling? The calling is literally following your inquisitiveness, following your curiosity, and gathering all these information. What does that mean? Education as well. Education, not only school education, but also really about the world, about your nature as a woman. And I believe it also correlates to education, like body science, maybe how your body works, how the mind works, psychology. And then if you feel like you have skills, maybe you want to sing, you're going to take singing classes, which is also in, like, it's skill building, but it's also education. If you want to dance, you go to dance classes, or you become a dance teacher. If you want to do pottery, or if you want to do design, or whatever you want to do, it is everything. All of that for me is education. So I hope you can still follow. But we come here, we have this treasure, and that's what I mean. Like, we're all rich. We're all rich. And just now, today, I had one of my clients, she sent me the testimonial, and she said like she felt so anxious, and she felt like she feels ashamed to speak about her journey on camera and the way she looks, and she didn't do it perfect. And that's exactly what inhibits our creativity, like this internalized voice of criticism that we're not good enough, and that we are not good the way we are, because we constantly think we have to be someone else, or we have been measured against someone else, or our parents didn't teach us our innate value, and that we're unique, and that we're free to express ourselves. So all of that is going on in my universe, and I want to share that with you. I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit off track. Like always, I'm learning, but I hope you enjoy it. So we're living in this world, and I do believe that this is a simulation. This is a simulation. Our soul embodies this body. Our body is the avatar. Our body is like in a video game, our body is the character that we chose, right? In a simulation, I know, like this football simulation, you choose the player that you like, and we chose our bodies. I hope that you like your body, or I hope that you understand that concept so you can love who you chose. Like, this is somehow what your soul wanted to experience. So again, this is not a it's the challenge, right? It's about cracking the code to get to the next level in this simulation game. Yeah. So we are living in this simulation, and we can, through different wisdom and knowledge, we can crack the codes on how to unlock our talents, how to unlock our potential, how to unlock our um purpose, right? This is what everybody's talking about, purpose. But our purpose is literally to unlock those desires, and unlock our interests, and accept them as true, accept them as valuable, and not through the logical programmed mind. And the logical programmed mind, this is a download that you got from patriarchy, racism, capitalism, sexism, um, isms and schisms, colorism, texturism, featureism, all of the isms and schisms from this matrix, patriarchal, pyramid, hierarchical structure that we live in. This is has its own story, and the story is literally to make you feel like you're nothing, so you can be exploited and give all your energy to the system, if you want to accept that as truth, right? So this is what's going on, and this is where we grew up, in this very toxic environment. So this whole world is a very toxic environment. It's true. So this whole world is a very toxic environment, and this whole toxicity has polluted our mind. And this is the program that we've all downloaded, the human conditioning, right? Because the mindset will lead to feelings, will lead to action, will lead to results. So this is a constant self-fulfilling prophecy when we don't wake up, yeah, and take our lives, our souls into our own hands. So me, as a brown woman, I was indoctrinated by certain standards and things, making me feel less than, let's say, a white man, being the symbol, the epitome of power. Yeah, so that's what's going on. So no matter who you are, you have received programming as well from the system, but then also, of course, through your parents, through your father, your mother, your culture, your family, school, the system, all of it. We've all been programmed and conditioned until we wake up, and then we have to go on this self-discovery journey, knowing ourselves. And the goal of knowing ourselves is to realize that's my opinion, that we are spiritual beings in a human experience. You're unique. You have a unique soul print. Nobody's ever going to be like you. And you can enjoy this experience as best as possible and unlock your gifts to play the game. Okay, so that's how I see it. And what I want to shed a light on today a little bit is really this internal, it's also like we can't find so many words for this, but like this is our soul. I've talked about it again before, but I want to say it again. So this is our soul, this is our potential, this is what we want to bring to this world, our experience, all of that. But we have this internal predator because the mindset that we have adopted from the outside world, and nobody really enlightened us until we find a teacher or a guru, or maybe many, right? Many teachers. I don't want to monopolize going to one teacher who can teach you everything. I don't necessarily believe that that's possible because we're so multifaceted, but it's possible to learn about the nature of reality, about the subconscious mind, how the subconscious mind is also yeah, is like the 95% of what rules your thoughts, feelings, actions, results, and how we can learn to use the conscious mind, yeah, how this can work together, how we can reprogram ourselves. These are things that we can learn. So what I want to say here today is that we all have the biggest enemy, and it's nothing new again, but the biggest enemy is within. The biggest enemy is within. You've probably heard that many times before. And what does that actually mean? The biggest enemy is within. And what that is the internalized, right? The internalized capitalism, patriarchy, um, misogyny, racism, sexism, and this whole world is literally constantly sending messages to the feminine, especially to the feminine psyche, that we and our gifts and the way we are, our nature, is inherently bad, is inherently bad. I mean, so many men are suffering from the system as well. I don't want to say that, but I'm talking to my ladies. So we're constantly getting the signal of that who we are, our feelings, our thoughts, our energy, our intuition. It's not valuable because we live in a world where the metric is more like you get the brownie points when you are a high achieving white man, literally working, 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 giving all your energy to the matrix, giving all your energy to the matrix, and then following the system's plan for you. So if that's working, paying taxes, probably like the rest of the puzzle is like getting married and then having kids and then giving your kids away to the plant, right? Giving your kids away to the system so they can indoctrinate your kids, and then the kids become part of the system again, and then constantly producing energy givers to the system. Oh my God, this sounds so horrible, but this is actually what I believe. It sounds very dark, and it is. So this is the program, right? That's the program. And this program lives inside of us. So me, just to make it more like tangible, me, I have internalized misogyny. I have internalized racism. I have internalized sexism. I have internalized like capitalism. I have internalized many of those isms and schisms live inside of me. And this is the best work that we can do. This is inner work. That's what inner work is. Inner work is about get like being aware, practicing self-awareness, cultivating the observer self, cultivating a part of you, which is amazing, right? A part of you that can observe your thoughts. A part of you that can observe your thoughts. So we know observing your thoughts equals you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts is like a cassette, is like a CD, is a program. And it plays and plays and plays depending on what you feed your mind. Yeah, so depending on the news that you watch, the movies that you watch, the films that you watch, the music that you listen to, the culture that you're immersed by, especially media, and like media and everything that really that influences you, pictures, music, words, stories, images, all of these things, you program it, and your mind can't filter. Like you can't say, "Oh, okay, I don't want to believe that." That's okay. You can't have those defense mechanism, but your mind is like a sponge. It's not as spongy as it was when from 0 to 7. When you were 0 to 7, your mind was like completely spongy. It absorbed everything the outside world provided, right? Everything, like the images, the colors, the weather, the stories, what you observed in your family, what you observed on TV or in media, like everything that was going on around you, like literally you were like a blank sheet of paper, and this whole world like imprinted itself on you. You absorbed everything that was going on inside of you without a filter. So today we are more or less like replaying what we've absorbed since we are young. Yeah. So today we can break the pattern by uh, observing our thoughts and finding a different truth. So, what I mean by a different truth maybe would be, right, cultivating radical self-love. So kind of knowing, okay, like I actually do love myself. What does that mean? Like all parts of myself. So I do love myself. What does that mean? I love a brown skinned woman with this type of hair, with this type of nose, lips. I love my heritage. I love coming from a Black father. I love coming from a white mother. I love coming from the background that I come from. I love the people that I grew up around, like loving the life experience. I don't want to glorify it just to make it simple, but I love myself and everything that kind of made me into who I am. Yeah. So I love that. And then you will feel, or you will observe at some points that, okay, you say you love yourself, but then there's a program in your mind going on saying, actually, and that's what is the inner critique, right? Oh, like my nose is not beautiful enough. I'm not against, like, you can have plastic surgery if you want, if you really feel that. But why would I not like my nose? I mean, today we are living a little bit in a different world already, thank God, but imagine maybe 20 years back, I am a Black girl growing up in Germany, and there's no Black representation. So I don't know anybody who looks like me, who's portrayed in the media as being at the top, who's high value. If it would just be a white woman, I would probably compare myself to her and be like, okay, I don't look like her, so I'm probably ugly because everybody desires that woman and I don't look like her. So learning to love who you are, your nose, your lips, your teeth, and all of that. So we grew up comparing ourselves because we are looking for mirrors. Like we're looking for mirrors, and we want to see ourselves, and we want to see ourselves portrayed as desirable, beautiful, talented, um powerful. Like that's what we are, because innately in our soul, in our psyche, we know that that's true. We know that we are divine. We know that we are powerful. We know that we are complete. We know that we are whole. Like like this very deep, deep truth inside of us. And then we grow up and then we look outside and then we look at TV. And depending on who is on TV, if I can mirror myself and be like, oh, that's me. So okay, she looks like me. She's being seen as beautiful. I'm beautiful. That's good. But if you don't see yourself there being portrayed as beautiful, maybe you struggle to feel beautiful, or not only beautiful, like we can't talk about beauty, which is important, absolutely, but also talented, powerful, funny, charismatic, all of the other qualities that a woman also brings, like um whatever it is that you feel is a beautiful trait within yourself. If we don't see that portrayed as a good thing in the world, we in the beginning we struggle to see that within ourselves. Or it doesn't only have to be media, also our immediate environment mirrors who they think we are. Like, is some kind of behavior, or the way you dress, the way you do your hair, the way you do your makeup, or the way you speak, your intelligence, your sports, all of that, we're being constantly mirrored by the people around us. And if they say, hey, well done, oh, you look good, or you being acknowledged for something, this is good, positive reinforcement. And then it kind of is like, yeah, that's what I think about me, and that's actually what I'm being mirrored. Like, that's true. So this creates a self-image of high self-esteem, because it's like, oh, that's what I think about myself, and the outside world reacts to me in the same way, so it's congruent. This creates like cognitive harmony, if we want to call it that, like cognitive alignment. Yeah. But if something inside of us, when we feel, hey, actually, I am powerful, I'm smart, like I know this in my soul, but I don't get it mirrored, like maybe people don't look at me, I am perceived as invisible, or I don't get the feedback that I innately feel that I deserve, or that's me, that's my nature. This could, or this quite frankly creates cognitive dissonance, because what you think and feel about yourself is not mirrored in the same way in the outside world. And then you're like, huh? Something is wrong here. Like, and this is also something that leads to a spiritual awakening, when you constantly feel something is wrong here. Like, the way I feel, what I think, what I feel, how I view myself, and how I feel like I am supposed to live, which comes from the soul blueprint. Yeah, it doesn't match. There's no match with the outside world. The outside world doesn't treat me the way I am feeling that I deserve to be treated. So this is the awakening. So our soul comes, and then our and this is what we want to create. We want to create consciousness of ourselves that matches our soul's feeling, desires. I feel like the soul is more of the body, like it comes from the underworld, or the soul is more of a feeling, and the consciousness is more of a mindset, and knowing, like a knowing of the mind. And then consciousness and embodiment, or consciousness and soul, come together. This is where we create harmony. This is where we create oneness. This is where we create a whole aura. Like, this is where we create the individuation in the psychological process of coming into wholeness. This is called the spiritual awakening, where our mind aligns with our feelings. Yeah, this is where we become one with ourselves. I'm a nerd, but I hope you can. I don't really want to water it down. Like, I think like the people who are watching, they're gonna be like, you are going to get this, okay? And so that's it. We come into this world and we're like, okay, what's going on here? Something is a little off. And then you get on this journey called the spiritual awakening, the hero's journey, the individuation process, which is an active journey, right? Which is an active journey. And everyone in this simulation, on this world, on this planet, is on their own journey. Everyone has different predispositions or different gifts, a different level of soul maturity, right? That's why some people will never get it, and some people have already gotten it a long time ago, and some people are just now waking up, and some people, like there's different levels and everyone is where they're at. And this is what I like, this is where I am now. I feel so liberated in just being me and fully acknowledging who I am and fully acknowledging my desire to share, my desire to be who I am. Even me, like I could now be thinking, and this is what happened with my client today, like thinking, like, who am I comparing myself to? So now I could compare myself to other YouTubers, other influencers, other teachers, other life coaches, other girls, whatever, in terms of my structuring of the video, in terms of my looks, in terms of the way I speak. I'm not a native English speaker. I live in Germany, so most of the time I speak German. I don't know if that's true, if I speak German most of the time, but I'm surrounded by German speaking people, but I live on the internet and I live also internationally. So I have friends around the world and I use English a lot. So I decide to speak English. So this is like a unique concoction of things, and I love it. I'm so happy with just experiencing myself sharing those things. I'm sharing all of the inside mechanisms with you just because I want you to feel the same way about yourself. So that's what's happening. We're in the simulation, and what I want to say is that I want to kind of go into like this internalized saboteur, the internalized sabotage mechanism, the internalized predator, the internalized misogynist, the internalized exploiter, the internalized racist, the internalized sexist. We all have that entity within us. As I said, your biggest enemy is within. Yeah, and that is the internalized program of this world. So there has to be a fight, and this is also what some people call, like, it's not a fight of flesh and bones or something like that, but it's a fight of spiritual principalities. And these spiritual principalities are as within so without, or as without so within. Like, you have this thing, this force, this, let's call it a force inside of you that actually wants to dead you, right? This force, like capitalism and all of blah, 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 what I just said, all of these things, they are anti-life, basically. It's anti-life, anti-blooming and blossoming and prospering and prosperity. And the more you feed this one with listening to a certain type of music, listening to certain types of stories, listening to certain types of people, focusing on the negative, just looking at people who live a life that they don't like, complaining, like all of the, let's say, normal world. I don't even know, like, I have nothing to do with those kinds of people, for never, kind of. That's how I feel. Like, I've never really been like inside the system very much. I've also been always like kind of doing my own thing since I'm young. So like this kind of, like, I don't really know these kinds of people, but I do still have these things inside of me. So all of that lives inside of you. And this predator, like this exploitive energy that also tells you, like in your head, you're telling yourself a story. Every time this force, your soul, your real, like your divine essence, your soul, your creativity, your feminine essence, whatever you want to call it, like your life force, energy, Shakti, yeah, whenever that wants to come up, like this thing is going to come and be like, oh, you can't do that, that's not safe, oh, you're supposed to be a good girl, right? All the morals also, like this is filled with morals and religious doctrine, especially about women and how a good woman is supposed to behave and blah blah blah. So this is on top of whatever wants to come through your life energy, right? Your happiness, your joy, your playfulness, your inner child, your inner feminine, your juice, whatever people call it, like all of that wants to come up. And that inside part of you, like the inside predator, wants to suppress it. So that is the fight that goes on within you. There's always a part that wants to come up because that's the nature of life, right? It's like a well or like a volcano path. You know, when the volcano is ready, it wants to just burst out. And that's also how we are as women. Yeah, we want to create. We want to tap into that stream of creativity that is ever flowing, that is ever flowing path. We want to come out. But this part is constantly trying to hinder us. So that's what people call it's a spiritual muscle. You know, we want to let this come through and want to weaken this. So that's literally the energy that's going on. I think it's a very good example. So this is your dark side or your inner saboteur or the part of you that wants to hinder your growth, hinder your freedom, hinder your liberation, hinder your expression, telling you you're not enough, you're not good enough, not smart enough, not beautiful enough, you're not perfect, you are not educated enough, you don't belong at the table, people like you don't look, they don't belong there, you have to be perfect, blah 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 blah. You know, this is what this part is saying, and this part is like, I want to live life. I want to live life. And that's what it's is inside of all of us. We want to live life. We want to let the energy flow. We want to move our bodies. We want to dance. We want to have fun. You know, we want to play. We want to have the joy. We want to create. We want to create something. This is what makes us so happy. We want to create some piece of art, something that we made, right? Whatever it is, whether it be a YouTube video or something tangible, something with our hands, or create a piece of music, poetry, a dance, art, interior, whatever, you get it, right? A book, interior design. We want to create something and be in awe. We want to be in awe of ourselves. We want to be in awe of our creation. We want to be in awe of, I did this. I did this. Yes. You know, this makes us feel powerful. And this is also what I want to talk about, this whole, like, as I'm saying again and again, this decentering men thing. I think that as women, we have been told like this lie, and especially currently also in the whole YouTube or social media space, there are so many women like promoting marriage. I do not dispromote marriage at all. No, if that's for you and if you've definitely found your match, go ahead and knock yourself out. Like I'm for all for it. But what I kind of want to shed some light on is that it's a scam. It's a story about women have to get married and that's the only, like, that's part of giving you value. But no, you as a woman, you came here with so many gifts and so many talents and all of what you can give to the world, and you are innately valuable, and you can't give all of that without sharing your life with a man or having children. That's also like, it's kind of new for me too, but I just want to put the focus on our innate inherent value as a human being, being being free, being liberated, being enlightened, if we want to call it that, being enlightened, especially about ourselves, about our talents, about the value that we bring to the world. And we decide, oh, I think that this is absolutely what people want and need. I do that. I believe like that's, for me personally, that's the highest value that I can bring to this planet. And I want to just help other people, especially women, liberate themselves from this internalized suppressor. Yeah. So, another thing, number one, we are in this soul, we are a soul in this body, in this incarnation, also a simulation like in a video game. Then we have so much to bring to this video game, and we are here to unlock the gifts and the talents and the levels to this life by sharing our truth and being all we can be, and literally living out our potential. And then we have this internal enemy, the enemy within and the enemy without. If there's no enemy within, there's no enemy without. Okay, so that's an old saying. And the internal enemy is the one suppressing your divine feminine flow of energy, innovation, creation, thoughtfulness, intelligence, energy, all of that. And now let me say one thing very important. I believe that the the very final vestige before you can enter like this powerful stream of creation is to acknowledge that you have like this part inside of you, which is not you, which is not you. Like while I'm speaking, I'm just realizing this part is not you. It was a part of you. It was a part of your psyche, kind of keeping you hostage. This was the prison guy. Yeah, the one who's in the prison keeping the people down, yeah, or in check. So this part of you, which is not entirely you, it's just one part of you. This kept this part down. And this part probably also kept other people down. This part probably, let's say, probably caused a lot of harm to yourself. So with that, like do I mean? If this part is constantly saying like, oh, you're nothing. You're nothing. You're not worth anything. You're nobody. Like who do you think you are? You're nothing. You don't have value. So what does it lead? Like where does it lead to? It leads to you not taking care of your body. It leads to you not taking care of your beauty because you don't even think you're beautiful. It leads to you not necessarily thinking that you can be somebody. So maybe you're not even seeking higher education. You are just like just doing the bare minimum to kind of get by in this world, in this system. You like if this version of you says like you're nobody, like you're gonna attract a partner or people in your life who will mirror back to you that you think you're nobody. They think you're nobody, and you think they're nobody, and it's just bad, yeah. And then this part here also tells you like you have no worth, like you're nothing. And then this is also what your bank account will show, like the job that you do, and then what your bank account shows, like you're nobody. Okay, so this part has harmed you, like this part of you has harmed this part of you, your inner child, your soul, your heart, your love, your divine feminine, whatever you want to call it. Like this part is like, no, I know that I'm lovable. Like I know that I'm inherently beautiful. Like I know that I am wonderful, I'm smart, I am divine, I am infinite potential. I can learn everything. I can achieve everything. I am life. I am life, I am all of this and more. I am that. And this is what you also deep down inside of you, you know that. You know that you have this voice. Boom. I think I made it very clear. And I love that for all of us. So this part of you is also still alive. And this part of you, we can also call it your intuition, your inherent knowledge, your soul's voice. This part knows that you are amazing. But this part, maybe because it's so loud on the outside, maybe you have created a reality where people are reinforcing that voice because it's a ping pong kind of relationship. It's you thinking that, and then it gets resonated, like you resonate with someone outside that will reinforce what you think, like this part of you, right? So you think this part of you think I'm nobody, then somebody outside of you is going to think you're nobody, right? And then they're going to maybe let you feel that. You think you're not beautiful, so someone on the outside is going to mirror you back that you're not beautiful. But at the same time, you have this part, and this part wants to come through. For the rest of your life, this part wants to come through. Until you die, your soul, it will seek to come through, to crack through this and be like, ah, here I am. And what I said, like, I think one of the biggest challenges to come into letting this part win is that this part over here, or you, both of the parts of you, you have to acknowledge that this part of you has done some damage in your own life, which is your current circumstance, where you feel like, okay, that's the life I've created. As I said, that's the body, the beauty, the relationships, the work, the money. You have probably hurt yourself. You have probably exploited yourself, or let yourself be exploited by this, if we want to call it that, demonic force. Right? You have allowed you, this part has allowed this part to suck your energy, because this part is artificially made by the system. Okay? So this part has sucked out the life out of your human self. And now this part has probably also damaged some other people, damaged relationships, hurt other people, uh, this internalized misogyny, racism, capitalistic part of you. Maybe you have also exploited other people. You have only used other people for your benefit. You have you have created wasteland, right? You have created a life where you look back and now you're waking up and you're like, "Oh, I don't want to look at what I've created." And this is what I mean, like this, like, okay, even though I'm waking up, I don't really want to look at it. Even though I'm waking up, I don't really want to see what I've created, because actually, I know it's horrible. I have created all this shit, not only to myself, but to other people. Oof. This part is the hardest part. This part is the hardest part that one has to face on the awakening journey. That's what I believe. So, with that being said, the remedy is self compassion and self forgiveness. But I really wanted to highlight that this part of you, has to acknowledge your own evil, and that's shadow work. You have to acknowledge your own evil. That's basically it, right? Your goodness, or whatever we want to call it, your goodness and your darkness. We live in this dual world, right? And we have the darkness inside of us, and with this darkness, used used and we probably abused others and ourselves. So we have to acknowledge that within ourselves, this can be very, 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 very painful. And I believe that this is like that will live this is the thing that will set you free, to acknowledge that you have also been, like, it's not only you that exploited you, or you that exploited others, but it's also you, like this part of you, allowing others to exploit this part of you, to take advantage of your heart, to take advantage of your body, to take advantage of your time and your energy and your goodness and your kindness, right? So you've been exploited. Let's just say that, right? You've been exploited. And I see that, not I believe, like in my personal surroundings or with the people that I know. I see that so many people don't want to acknowledge that part, that you have allowed, like this part of you has allowed other people to break, like not break, but to maybe break and damage and exploit this part. So you are not really, you haven't been a good keeper of yourself. but we don't want to acknowledge that because it's painful. And as I said, you've probably also hurt other people in this part, allowed other people to hurt you, to exploit you. And now you're here. This is also many times part of the spiritual awakening, that you're so broken, that you're so damaged, that you feel so exploited, that you feel like probably maybe you're broke or you're bankrupt or you're like just psychologically in a very dark space. And then you wake up, ugh, and then you have to come back into the light. It's a hard journey coming back into the light, because it's a psychological process. It's a psychological um journey. And that's what I mean also by the hero's journey, or by the individuation process. It's a journey coming back into the light, where you see things clearly, and where you are kind of like the middle path between this part and this part. Because I believe, and this is the shadow, right? That's our shadow, the shadow part. And yeah, so I just wanted to make that point. This is one of the biggest keys in awakening, is to be able to acknowledge all the pain that you have caused to others. Not you're not only the victim, like you're not only the victim, but you're probably also the perpetrator or the predator, or you were the exploiter, right? So that's going on here. We want to acknowledge that. And this is where you can forgive yourself, right? You can forgive this part, and you can also forgive this part, and you can harmonize both, and and just learn self-awareness to see when which part is at play in your life. So if you want to learn more about that, hit me up for a personal consultation, become a student, become a member of my Healing into Femininity community. Like, this is what I teach in my coaching programs. So but with that being said, I believe that that's a very big one. And another one is where we, like, if we don't do this part, where we realize that we played a part in being the evil one, being the bad one, maybe out of an automatism, like being automatic, like not really conscious. I believe the next phase here is to learn to integrate the shadow, in terms of you will not get rid of this part, because it's kind of part of you, it's part of your psyche. You can purify it, right? Purify it in terms of becoming conscious of it. But at the same time, and I spoke about this in the other video, I think in the dark femininity thing, to realize that you are human and you are on this planet. And it is also healthy to have a little bit of a, let's say, a villain archetype of energy. And I don't mean it in an exploitative way, because I do believe in win-win situations. I do believe in, you don't have to now change up and be the bad one as well. No, but I believe that this will lead to balance and a healthy personality, and also being an ego. Yeah, it's important to have an ego. It's important to have boundaries. It's important to have standards. It's important to put yourself at the top of the food chain, if we want to call it that, right? This is where now, like when we have come to this realization that we are not victims, but we are actually empowering ourselves through knowledge and skills, right? We are players in the game, but we're still in the game. We're still in the game, and I believe that because you're still in the game, you have to know that other people also have this dark side. Other people are influenced by the patriarchy. People are influenced by this exploitation energy. Let's call this whole pyramid archetype sexism, racism, pipapo. Yeah, let's call it exploitation energy, because this only takes. It's the taker, right? It's the taker. So we have that inside of us, and now we can't just, and this is where I do not agree at all, like with the whole love and light spiritual community thing, because it's a lie. And this is also a spiritual bypassing thing, and it's also like a very immature way of wanting to bypass the human experience on this planet, and enter prematurely into heaven, right? Prematurely into heaven, but no, honey, that's not the way. If you want to enter or exit the game, let's call it that. If you want to exit the game, you have to exit yourself. And I don't portray like you don't, please don't do it, but that's just what I want to say. Like, if you want to exit this game, you can't exit the game. And this is what some people do by spiritual bypassing the human experience and kind of wanting to bypass their own shadow because they don't want to look at, oh my God, I have been the evil one as well. I have exploited others. I have been the predator. I have damaged other people. Like I did that. So we have to because it's painful, right? It's very painful to acknowledge because we always think that we are good, but no, we have this unconscious, especially if it's unconscious, we have this unconscious part of us that just creates havoc, in other people's and our lives if it's unconscious. So we want to become conscious of the darkness and integrate the darkness and use the darkness, use our darkness in the right way to navigate ourselves through this matrix and through this world. Because knowing, if you know that about yourself, and that's also another big key that I'm going to share with you. If you have studied yourself and know about all of these spiritual psychological processes inside of you, you literally know everybody. That's what I say, like more or less, right? Everyone is different, and of course there are people with like severely mental diseases like narcissism and all of that, right? Where really there is no returning back. That's what they say about narcissists, right? That there's no coming back to revive this part, like the soul, the love, the the life giving, the giving energy, the compassion energy, the love, like all of the, let's say, the pro-life qualities, right? And that's what they say about narcissists, that this part is dead completely because this part has come, like the shadow has completely swallowed the light inside that person, and that person has completely turned dark. Also, like in a movie, I can't think of anything particular, but that's what I see when sometimes like people's eyes become totally black, and that's the representation of like their soul, the light has completely left them, right? So they have been eaten by the dark. They have completely gone to the dark side. There's no like little light left. Yeah. So that's it. So the dark has won over the light. And I believe that we're talking here to people that are not completely gone by the darkness, but you have a heavy light path, but it's important to integrate the shadow and let the shadow protect you. Because when you know that some people have completely been eaten by the light, completely eaten by the darkness, some people, not some people, all people have darkness inside. All people have the tendency to exploit you. All people have a tendency um to compare on the hierarchical system. Like, am I above you? Are you below me? Which scale do I apply? Is my skin lighter than yours? Is my hair straighter than yours? Is my nose more narrow than yours? Are my lips bigger than yours? My body shape, like that's the body shape, the beauty standard. So like people will, this is the dark side. This is the matrix. This is the metrics, right? This is the scale system, the hierarchy. This is the exploitation energy. Yeah. So this lives inside of everybody. It lives in you, it lives in me. Yeah. And if you don't accept it, you're denying your whole human experience, right? So we want to accept that part, and we want to selectively use it. It's now we are navigating the duality and being able to be the puppet master of ourselves, being the oversoul, if we want to call it that, being like the oversoul, the consciousness, navigating through this world and selectively using all the tools in our toolbox. We are now using some of the darkness because if somebody wants to fight, I'm ready to fight, you know? And if somebody wants to nourish my love and light, I'm ready to receive it, you know? But if somebody wants to exploit me, I have to put up the boundary. Yeah? If somebody wants to diss me, I have to put up the boundary. Yeah? So I'm using my knowledge and my experience of this matrix world. I'm using that to protect myself, protect this part of me, protect my soul, if you so will, and to get myself to the top of the food chain, to get myself to the top of the hierarchy. Yeah, that's it. And this, the top of the hierarchy also doesn't mean that it's only there's only so much to go around, because I live in an abundant mindset, but I am going to get a piece of the cake, or I'm going to bake my own cake. I am going to do everything to survive and thrive on this planet. So this is the spiritual awakening, right? This is the whole psychological process that I just wanted to share with you, and just knowing that you're evil, you have an evil side, that's your story, that's your that's part of you, and you have this light side, and other people do have the same, and it's a mix, just like the yin and yang thing, right? So some people, if they're more spiritually evolved, like they probably have more of the light side, but they still need to protect themselves, like for example monks, let's just say that monks or nuns, because they're not really playing the game of life. They have put themselves in a space where they are protected by the walls of the monastery, right? They are living their best spiritual lives, fully dedicated to the divine and to their personal development. And this is also something that I want to share, just a little side note. And because me personally, I'm decentering men. And for me, it's kind of like a logical consequence, because I actually do see myself as a I see myself as a spiritual um, devotee, or I see myself as a priestess. I see myself as a nun, if you so will. I know these words are very heavy, so don't get triggered. But I see myself as a woman who wants to dedicate her life to fulfilling her potential and sharing my divinity and sharing my knowledge, and actually continuing to learn and to get better at everything that I know, and to be of service to my community. And this is exactly what nuns do. I'm a nutritionist as well. And when I was like deeply into herbalism and all of that, I think I still even have that book here. Yeah, so learning all about herbalism and things like that, this is also like most of the healing knowledge actually comes from nuns. Also in the, let's say in the Christian tradition, but also of course in the more indigenous traditions, it has always been like the shaman, or somebody is not really who's not really involved in the everyday life of the culture, in the everyday life of the tradition. And they have all the time in the world to become masterful at their craft of healing and of learning, of studying, of going into the forest, of studying the plants. And who comes to mind there is Hildegard de Bingen. Hildegard von Bingen she's a German mystic. I think she's even called a mystic. She was a nun, and she was and nuns most of the time were the first highly educated women in the Western world, right? In the Christian centric world. And this is, I feel heavily drawn to that. I feel heavily drawn to that, to be some, like an educated woman. Like I am an educated woman, and I want to continue to study. I want to continue to study. And this is what I feel like, this is my calling. This is my calling. I don't see myself living in a monastery, or I don't see myself totally like secluded from the world. But this was a little excursion talking about me, but this is also something that it just makes sense. Like, I am so inquisitive. I so love to educate myself, and I feel like my life is dedicated to the divine, divine within me, and just bringing beauty and healing and upliftment to the world. And this is, for me, this is what nuns do, and shamans and medicine women and priestesses and all of that. They're not they're not married, and they're probably, most of the times, they don't have kids. So, but I'm not saying that anything is better. No, 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 no. Don't, let's not do that. I'm not saying that having kids is bad. No, not at all. I'm not saying that not being married is bad, or being married is bad. No. You can do whatever you feel is your calling in life. Yeah, I have just accepted mine. And I want to say that again, coming to nuns and mystics and monks and things like that, most of the time they have a little bit, maybe more of the light side, because they are not so, like, they're not demanded to fight off the evil in other people, or fight, like, put up boundaries all day long because people have demands on you or things like that. I think that's why they can develop a more mystical quality, or like channeling, or again, as I said, like also finding these remedies and being more healers, and learning about the plants, because it's a dedicative and contemplative, and you're dedicating your whole energy, your mind space, your time, your everything, you dedicate it to your craft, your calling. That's where those people are more on the light side, let's say that. And then there are people, normal people, I would say, like normal good people who do their inner work. They're more of the yin yang thing, or like where it's very balanced. So you have the darkness, you have the light. Perfect. Works for good and well-rounded life in society on this planet, and you can still live your best life being that. And of course, some people, and probably many people, have a little bit of more shadow, like more shadow than light, because the light side, like the darkness, has kind of swallowed them a little bit more. And then we have those people with, let's call it, literal mental um, predispositions, or I don't know if it's a predisposition, because I believe it comes through the life experience. Like, I don't know, but I don't think that people necessarily are born with these mental conditions of like narcissism and being a psychopath. I think this happens through trauma. Um, yeah, so this is it. Like, we are all kind of like, I think normal, let's say normal good people are more on in the middle. And then, and this is what I feel like most people, as I said, that who spiritually bypass, they probably are in the middle, like the yin yang symbol, and then they have this lightness, but they just are blind and ignorant, which is called the blind spots, right? And we all have blind spots. I have blind spots too. Yeah, so they have a big ass blind spot in terms of completely denying their shadow, yeah, and wanting to escape into heaven right away. It's not going to happen, girlfriend. Okay. So we have to learn how to navigate ourselves through this world. And we can do that too through education, contemplation, meditation, affirmation, um, self-awareness, of course, cultivating the higher self, learning how to feel more into our true desires. This is all that I do in my programs. So it's really literally about finding out What is your longing? What is your discontent? What is your self-image? Letting go of things like forgiving and cultivating your intuition, cultivating your solution-oriented mind, getting in alignment with your feeling, your desire, your action, and then your results. Like all of these things are part of my coaching program. So if you're interested, hit me up. Let me see if there's more. No, I think that's good for now. So, yeah, I think I already made a good summary about that. So, we are spiritual beings in this human experience, and we came here um to express our soul. And our soul blueprint, you will know what it is that you love. And you probably, and that's why it's so good to look back, and that's what people in psychology call the inner child work, right? They don't probably want to call it spirit, but that's okay. So the inner child is because if you had I don't know if I want to call it a privilege, but if you had the privilege of actually having a bit of a childhood, because I know that not everybody had a childhood, maybe some people have been damaged very early, but if you have had some kind of a childhood, hopefully, I hope that for you and for all of us, is that you can see what it is that you naturally loved since you're a child. Because back then, the indoctrination wasn't there. You were more free, you were more uninhibited, right? You didn't, and this is also a proven fact that children are geniuses, right? Because they're so open and tapped into everything. But what kind of cuts off the genius is the internal voice of judgment. It's part of this exploitation energy, right? It sucks the energy out of you and it judges you because like we then want to be perfect. But so we want to come back into authentic expression and look at your childhood and see how you expressed yourself as a child. What was natural to you? What things did you like as a child naturally? So this is where you can find a lot of your true energy coming back. Um, Coming into this world, incarnating into the body, cracking back open, finding these two parts inside of you, checking that this part has damaged you, has probably damaged others, and this part also allowed others to damage this part of you. So now we are building up this, yeah, we are keeping this in check, creating harmony like the yin yang sign, and really learning to walk the middle path. That's what it's called. Like working the middle path is incorporating both and making a beautiful life experience on this planet. And if you feel drawn, maybe that's you, right? Just like me, if you're drawn to be a nun, a priestess, a devotee to the divine, whatever you want to call it, that's also fine. Then know what that means. Maybe I also brought some light to you because I didn't know that I was going to talk about this, but yeah, it just came naturally. And if you're more on this end, maybe you also like it. I don't know, but this is really where we want to keep the darkness in check, right? Admit yourself, admit that you have been the bad one if you want to be that level of bad, and how you can only use, let's say that's me, that's my tendency, but you will do whatever you want. But my tendency is to create the balance and help people to create the balance and use the parts where you have to be in your dark energy, but also be in your light energy. We're both. Okay. It was so much fun. I love this. It's a lot of fun. What do you think? What do you think? How do you like the combination of spirituality and psychology in this video? How do you like the streamlined, if it was streamlined, like how do you feel about the different things that I said, also about the spiritual awakening, like really your soul knocking at your human consciousness and being like, hey, let me out. I'm here. Have you had that? Have you had a spiritual awakening before? How did that feel? Because there are also levels to spiritual awakenings. With spiritual awakening comes the dark night of the soul because there's an ego death, right? When there's more consciousness coming through, when there's more awakening, enlightenment energy coming through, that also means that a part of your ego dies, which is the dark night of the soul, which actually we have to call differently. Like it's not the dark night of the soul because it's actually a liberation of the soul, but it's a dark night of the ego. So, have you had that? Have you had a dark night of the soul, which can feel like a depression, which can feel like your life is falling apart because it is, but only to dissolve so you can transform? Yeah, but many times if you're not initiated, and this is like that's what I do, I help people, like I initiate people into the art and science of transformation. And I believe that the dark night of the soul is an involuntary or an unconscious way of transformation. Your psyche will just do what it does, but if you don't really understand what's going on, it can feel like a depression and it can take longer than necessary. That's also why I invite you, if you want to learn more about the art and the science of transformation and how you can consciously become who you want to be instead of waiting for the shit hitting the fan and then waking up into the next level of consciousness. Again, go to joannafatonji.com and book yourself a personal consultation session and let's see how we can work together. So let me know. Let me know what you feel. Let me know what you think. Give me feedback. Let me know what you want to hear more about. I know today was really, I think, very scientific, but I love that. And I can also give you some more tea in the next time, okay? More about my own life because, yeah, I'm a human being as well. And I had my fair share of BS as well, okay? So much love to you. Until then, take care. Bye.